This is not his picture, just so we have like an image of what we're talking about. A little bit about Imoa. He was the last person to be executed in American Samoa.
Yeah. So, Kalani, you're probably familiar with the Imoa story, the song Faʻafofoga Samoa, right? So there's a VE for Imoa. So I'm not gonna really touch upon his story itself, but then my question I wanted to bring up to our Samoan people is, why do we honor Imoa? But Imoa was the one that murdered Sema, right? So he murdered Sema. But today we sympathize more about Imoa than we do Sema. And the question I have is there a VE for Sema, right? The guy that was murdered? Like a VE for Imoa. We were so passionate about Imoa, but is this something unique to our people that we sympathize more of the person, the offender, versus the person who, the family of the victim? So that's the question I wanted to bring out for our viewers. Any thoughts on that, Kalani?
Yeah, I don't. Sorry, I didn't really get to go through our topics, but I think it's just the fact that most of the stories that I was told is from my math teachers. This guy's name is Toma, Tewati Toma. I'm pretty sure some of our viewers probably know he's from Upolu, and he was one of the best math teacher I ever had in Matatula Elementary. Holy fasawa. And he would always have that. It's a kuava, little small, thin stick, and the kuava stick are really hard. Anyway, I remember telling the story about Imoa, and I think he was telling the name Sema, but I think a lot of people refer to Senga, if I'm not mistaken, our viewers, if you don't mind. And I think back in the days, and then referring to the song Oletoa Ualeva, and I think that they referred that to Senga. And Senga was one of the oldest toa back in the days that in order for you to claim that name brave toa, you have to committed a lot of murders in order for you to become that person. And apparently that Senga was one of that toa. During that time, Imoa, considered as a modern days at that time, heard about it. And I think Imoa was actually in Upolu or Sabai at the time. Somehow, Olekala Avinga Ave, Senga said something about Imoa. And then I guess Imoa didn't even take that lightly. So he actually came to Kukuila and looked for Senga. Now at the time, Senga was already, declining down to where that he's already an old school toa. And then I guess that's why Imoa, murdered him. Because of what Senga. So my apologies to the viewers if I ever leave anything out. You can please just forgive me, but just kind of like add to the story. And I think the reason why the song was so popular in the VE is because not only Imoa was actually writing that song to Samoa, to tell Samoa Faʻafofoga Samoa, but I think mainly of it was for his wife Tutongi. And it's because that what he did wrong, that he kind of felt guilty. And then when he said that Faʻafofoga Samoa neo Imoa o le toa whatever. And I think that when he said something in a song that I think it's in the chorus that was actually saying that I can't remember something about or something like that. Obasa. And I think I remember my teacher was telling me about that in Asu that there's a draft or whatever. That's why it was occurring. That when Salamasina and Lady Naomi back in the days when they leave Bango, somehow they get to Upolu or Upolu at no time. Versus coming back, it's really hard for them. So I guess going with the current and then coming back from Upolu to Kukuila with the current, that is kind of hard. And I think that he was referring that. I think and then there's another verse that I was actually talking about, that it was actually his family paying tribute and actually apology, some sort of like an apologetic from his family towards to what Imoa did. Sema or Senga. So that's my interpretation. Like I was actually trying to remember the story that to what he was telling us about it. But it's a good question about why didn't Senga had a V or a tribute. Right. But I think it's because of that Senga was one of the old tours back in the days that he was doing so much bad things that a lot of people don't really want to hear about it. Versus Imoa during the time, I guess consider it at the modern time that Imoa actually was a modern warrior that thinking that, you know what, it's time to end this thing because you know what, I don't like this guy. So he just went to Tupukuila. And so, but there's other interpretation. They said that Ka'aloma and then he punched in and then he died or anything like that. So yeah. Sorry about that. That's my interpretation of it.
No,